I've just found that a multi-trillion-dollar Bitcoin hater has just quietly been buying MicroStrategy shares. Of course, we're talking about Vanguard. They're one of the biggest holders of MicroStrategy, and I want you guys to really have a think about what this could potentially mean for Bitcoin, because Vanguard isn't the only enormous giant being forced to get some sort of Bitcoin exposure privately, while publicly they're saying, hey, we're not the biggest fans of Bitcoin. I'm going to remind you of the 21st largest central bank and their interest in Bitcoin position in a moment, but let's listen to another multi-trillion-dollar bank, UBS. They haven't yet adopted Bitcoin, but like Vanguard, it sounds like they're going to have to in the not too distant future.
We had Bitcoin, BTC, hitting a new record high just overnight, north of $109,000 a coin. Are clients asking about that kind of exposure too, or not?
Well, generally, I think across the board, you've had more interest in crypto. We don't engage or provide investments around crypto. This is not a space we're active in.
This is not, or not yet?
As of today, we're not active in this space.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Another big trend, theme, and buzzword is what's been going on.
Oh, did you guys notice the saltiness in that guy's tone? No, we're not yet. Really interesting. Maybe UBS is about to adopt Bitcoin. Maybe it's because they're going to have to be forced to adopt Bitcoin. Again, who noticed how he just kind of diverted away from the question? You know, are you having clients ask you about Bitcoin? Oh, well, there's this general broad interest everywhere increasing. That's him saying the quiet parts out loud. That's him saying, yes, me and my other insiders at UBS, one of the largest banks in Europe, mind you, let's not forget they acquired Credit Suisse only months ago. They're, I think, quietly buying Bitcoin, and they're saying publicly, no, you can't buy it. The peasants can't buy it, but the insiders, we're going to load up while we can. We are going to load up while there is still 2.5 million Bitcoin sitting on exchanges for sale. I love this comment by McLovin. They should change their name to Vanguard. 100% right. Vanguard should change their name to Vanguard because they're banning themselves from Bitcoin. What are you doing, guys? Again, to put things into a little bit more perspective for you, Vanguard is a huge bank. When we take a little bit of a peep at the largest asset managers in the world, we can see Vanguard, $9.3 trillion of asset. And have a look at all of the other names on this list. Of course, UBS, have a look at them, 2.6 trillion. Very interesting. It looks as if the two holdouts and two of the bigger names on this list are going to be forced to adopt Bitcoin. We know BNY Mellon's adopted Bitcoin. BlackRock, obviously, they're a Bitcoin proponent. Fidelity, $5.3 trillion giant. They are, let's just say what it is. They are balls deep in Bitcoin. State Street, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, of course, JP Morgan, publicly hating on Bitcoin, saying, oh yeah, the real innovation is blockchain. But privately, ignore the fact that I just bought $200 million of MicroStrategy shares for JP Morgan Chase. That's right. That's what Jamie Dimon is doing privately with his holdings at JP Morgan. But I think all of these haters, critics, deniers, they're going to be forced into adopting Bitcoin whether they like it or not. They have absolutely no choice whether to adopt it or not. I can't believe it. But this UBS insider has kind of already told you the quiet parts out loud. He said, yeah, well, we don't have plans yet. We're not offering Bitcoin yet. That's him screaming we're about to be offering Bitcoin to all of our clients. And again, all of these massive multi-trillion-dollar banks are right now going all in on Bitcoin privately and quietly, the same way Goldman Sachs has. Here they got $1.65 billion invested into Bitcoin. I think that's huge. I think that is interesting. I think that is really fascinating, but it's not quite as interesting as what I'm seeing over there on Google Trends, because we are seeing some really interesting things when it comes to retail, and even CNBC is reporting on it. Before we get there, I just want to quickly remind you guys, if you want somewhere to buy your Bitcoin, I always encourage you guys to check out the Bitcoin Well. I think they're the best Bitcoin exchange in the space. I think that they are the only place hardcore Bitcoiners should be using to buy your Bitcoin, because they encourage you to self-custody your Bitcoin. So again, if you are looking for somewhere as a retail buyer, or even if you want to buy large amounts of Bitcoin over the counter, and as you can see here with the Bitcoin Well Infinity program, if you want to have your hand held and book a call with a specialist at the Bitcoin Well, you can do that. You can book a call. You can grab a slot on a calendar that works best for you with the Bitcoin Well Infinity program. And just please take your Bitcoin custody more seriously, guys. These banks, they're coming for a reason. They're not coming because Bitcoin's just going to be worth $200,000 a coin or $500,000 a coin. They wouldn't be coming in here for a simple doubling. They're coming in here because they know that Bitcoin is going to be worth a lot of money in the future, and there's a lot of money to be made on these fees in the interim. So again, Bitcoin's going to be worth a ton. Please just protect it as if it is worth a ton today. Too many people, I think, are very complacent with their Bitcoin holdings. I think you need to treat your generational wealth as if it's worth generational wealth today. My rule of thumb is a 10x rule of thumb. I like to think of my Bitcoin that I'm holding today as worth 10x what it's actually worth today, and I expect it to do that in a matter of months. Okay, so again, I know some people are complacent. I've only got $1,000 of Bitcoin in my phone wallet. I don't think you should be doing that. I think you should be pretending that is worth $10,000 today, because Bitcoin can 10x very quickly and life can happen. You could be too busy to move that $10,000 off your phone wallet, and then all of a sudden you connect it to a public Wi-Fi, and I can't say that either on a live stream, but all of a sudden you could lose your Bitcoin. So just prepare as if your Bitcoin is worth 10x what it's worth today. And I think the best way to do that is to back up your Bitcoin. Again, put it into a hardware wallet and then back up that hardware wallet with titanium. So again, do not write down your 12 or 24 words on paper. Put them on titanium. Titanium plates survive fire. Super easy to use. This is why I encourage you guys to get the titanium plates from Stampseed, and you can get 15% off anything you want to buy from Stampseed with that promo code Luke15. Now that you've got your Bitcoin protected the way it should be, and hopefully you've got enough Bitcoin, you can start getting more bullish with me, because I simply think, again, my thesis here is that governments are going to hold Bitcoin for the long term. I don't think they're going to be traders. The Pakistani official there on stage openly said, we're not trading our Bitcoin. And I think it's only a matter of time before the number of Bitcoin held by nation states, public companies, billionaires, it continues to increase. And I think if you just extrapolate out the trend that I'm about to show you here on screen, I think a large portion of the Bitcoin supply is going to be held by these individuals here: public companies, private companies, governments, and ETFs. In the past 18 months, the majority of this 3.38 million Bitcoin has been hoovered up by public companies, private companies, governments, and ETFs. Okay, think about that. In the past 18 months, the majority of this 3 million coins has essentially moved to the treasuries of entities who are not going to sell it. This is where the maths gets mind-bending, because we know that about 4 to 5 million Bitcoin are lost forever. Now, in the past 18 months, we've just seen a buyer enter the market who's hoovered up 3 million coins. And that might not touch the market for a very long time. Let me be conservative. Let's assume 90% of those Bitcoin never touch the market again. I think that's conservative. Sure, there's going to be some public companies who'll sell Bitcoin. Sure, there'll be a couple of nation states who fumble the ball and let us hand their Bitcoin and sell it like Dave Portnoy. There could be some. Don't get me wrong. But I think it's safe to assume 90% of the Bitcoin in these entities is going to be held for the long term. What happens if in another 18 months, another 3 million coins is hoovered off the exchanges? What if it actually happens even quicker? Well, I got a chart to show you that actually backs up that point, because I do think it's going to happen even quicker. It's just simply extrapolating out the trend that we're seeing today. So have a look at this. Public companies and ETFs are buying Bitcoin at a parabolic rate. It's been hoovered up. It's as simple as that. So I think it's not wild to assume in another 18 months, by the end of 2026, all of a sudden, we could see ETFs, governments, private companies, and public companies sitting on 7 million Bitcoin. That's really not that much of a crazy extrapolation. These entities could be sitting on 7 million Bitcoin. We know that about 4 to 5 million Bitcoin is lost forever. That's half the supply gonzo. Potentially never going to see an exchange or the market ever again, potentially. Do the maths. Do the maths. How much do you think Bitcoin's worth if half of the supply is potentially never going to see an exchange again in 18 months? That's the maths. I'm not doing wild speculations. I'm just assuming what did happen over the past 18 months goes on for another 18 months. That's it. I don't think anyone's got enough Bitcoin. I think it's as simple as that. If you want to know how much Bitcoin you might need to retire in the future, I've actually got a few videos where I've done deep dives on that topic. I'm going to put links that's going to take you to both of those videos, somewhere around there and then somewhere around there. Well, I said, thank you so much to everyone who tuned in. I will let you guys go because I'm late for dinner and I'm going to bounce. I'll see you guys in the next live stream.